Hi, Lori Michelle with another Chinks in the Armor. And today I'm going to speak about Rabbi Elyahu and his video, Why Don't We Intermarry? And this came as a complete surprise to me. I didn't know I was going to talk about this today. I had something else on my calendar, and Hashem said, no, this is what you're talking about today. So I'm just going to let the video roll, as they say, and I'm going to give it my best shot. And at the end, Hashem will tell me if I did a good job and I should post it or it should get left on the cutting room floor, as they say. The reason I'm doing this is it's a very important topic, and I am Moshiach, in case you didn't know. And I was awakened 10 years ago, and I was raised extremely secular by a secular Jewish ham and cheese eating family. And I was awakened to the voice of Hashem. And it led me on a path that I could never have predicted. But in retrospect, in hindsight, it was always something that was going to be my calling. Obviously, I am Moshiach, and I have answers for you, Rabbi Ken, as to why we don't intermarry. I'm going to play a video that you recorded several years ago about this subject, and it was part of a series, a lecture series, where you were talking about 70 most difficult questions. And you didn't answer the question. That's the chink in the armor. And I'm not here to admonish you. I'm here to shed understanding and give you the answer, the truthful answer as to why it is so important for Jewish people not to intermarry. And it's not discrimination, and it's not hate-filled, and it's not awful. It is our birthright. And I talk about it in my book, Blindsided by Messiah, and it's online on Amazon, Rabbi Ken. Please buy it and read it. There's a lot of information in here that everybody needs, including you. Before I talk about what you got wrong and how I can give you more understanding about intermarriage and why we should never intermarry, I'm going to play a few minutes. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And I'm going to play a few minutes of this lecture where you explain your reasons as to why we don't intermarry. And then I'm going to go through just this few minutes. I didn't watch the whole hour that was posted here, but there was enough here in 3 minutes that I have a lot to talk about with you. So here we go.
What's good discrimination? I'm entitled to marry who I want. The one who's closer to me, the one who shares the same ideals as I do, the one who has more of a similar background than I'm entitled to certain preferences. Does that mean that I discriminate? We are friends with the Goyim. We do business with the Goyim. We even help a lot of Goyim. We give charity to Goyim. We do a lot for Goyim. But who has to force me to marry them too? I want to marry somebody that is similar to me, that shares the same values as I do, that has similar goals as I do. Is that called discrimination? I want to succeed. I want something that's similar to me. That's not called discrimination. Am Israel is interested in survival. As a nation, as a people, we have a very important mission that we want to transmit to our children and to our grandchildren, to future generations. And in order to succeed in that mission, we have to marry Jews. Simply stated, that's our goal in marrying another Jew, is we want to survive as a people. We don't want to disappear. We don't therefore want to assimilate. We have this mission, we have this job. If we are going to succeed in it, it requires that we live our life according to certain standards. and that we marry our own, who will share the same ideals. Okay, comes along a Jew who has not been raised as a Jew, says, okay, that's very nice for those who believe in this faith. I did not grow up with it. My parents did not teach me anything. They themselves don't observe anything, barely anything Jewish in the home. Why should I have anything to do with this? Why should I care about this? I don't have anything to do with it. What is the answer to him? The answer is very simple. Just because one's parents did not do what they were supposed to does not exonerate the child, the son or the daughter, from being a responsible human being, from doing the right thing. Just because the parents made a mistake does not mean that you are free to do whatever you want. Yes, they may have made a mistake, and it could be their grandparents made a mistake too. But every Jew is a custodian who's responsible to give over this heirloom, this inheritance, this precious inheritance to the future generation. Every Jew has that responsibility, no matter how he grew up. That's just our responsibility as Jews.
Okay, there's plenty here. I'm going to stop share. And Rabbi Ken, I took a few notes just on this few minutes that I'm going to go over with you. Please forgive me, I have a cold today, but that's not stopping me from doing my work. Marrying another Jew isn't discrimination. You're defending marrying another Jew, and it needs no defense, but I understand that Jews who stay within the Jewish community and marry other Jews are accused of discrimination. I want to advise you to guard your language, that when you were speaking and you were using the word goyim, we help goyim, we give charity to goyim, that all might be true, and you don't dislike goyim per se, but it's very divisive usage of language. Non-Jews don't understand that goyim just means non-Jew. And it sounds divisive. When I was growing up, my parents used that language, even though we were ham and cheese eating Jews, and they would call someone a goy. And it sounded like a slur, and often it is. So I wouldn't use that language on the worldwide internet because it's very alienating. And I read some of the comments on your feed, and people found you very divisive. So, and I know you didn't mean that at all. So no, it is not discrimination to marry someone of your own faith. I agree with you on that, but that's still not the reason not to intermarry. You go on and say, Am Yisrael is interested in survival. The survival of the Jews is our goal. False. We're still here, and left to our own devices, Hashem has saved us over and over and over again. And I'll get to the true reason why we do not intermarry and why the survival of Judaism and Jews and adherence to a Jewish life is so important. But it is not the survival of the Jews. We're still here. Incredibly, books have been written about that. We shouldn't even be here. Hashem has kept us alive and well. Thank you, Hashem. Jewish people not raised as a Jew is very divisive. I was raised without Torah, but I was raised as a Jew. My father sprinkled Yiddish through his language and loved and was proud. He loved being Jewish, and he was very proud to be a Jew. So to say Jewish people are not raised as a Jew is wrong-headed. It's not the right language to bring Jews back to Judaism. It's very alienating to someone who's been raised reform or conservative, it makes you sound like you're spitting on them, really, for not raising their children as a Jew. They believe they are Jews just like you are. Parents didn't do the right thing, but you still have an obligation. My parents didn't raise us with Torah. We weren't raised kosher. I didn't keep Shabbos. I didn't keep the festivals, the holidays, none of that. I didn't even know the Shema prayer or that it was inside of a mezuzah. I thought the mezuzah on the front door of my house was just to tell the neighbors that we were Jewish. Truly, that's how I was raised. So parents didn't do the right thing, but you still have an obligation, is not going to encourage anyone to want to marry Jewish. I don't have an obligation. I want to be happy. When I was a child and I came of age, my mother told me one day that I should marry a Jewish man because otherwise it would break her heart. And I thought to myself, she's not getting married, I am. How is it breaking her heart? Why do I have to marry someone that doesn't break her heart? Obligation isn't a reason not to intermarry. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll get to the reason in a second. Hang on. Jewish life is an heirloom to be passed on. Jewish life is beautiful when you observe Torah. But I was raised as a Jew, and I had matzo balls once a year. And if you ask my mother, she'll tell you I was raised in a Jewish life. That's what she believes. But after my awakening, I had an eye-opening experience. I started reading the Chumash. I started going to Chabad and learning what Shabbos really was. And I was astounded that I wasn't raised with Torah. I didn't understand why my parents didn't raise us with Torah. That's the heirloom, Rabbi Ken, the Torah. The Torah is the truth. And why don't we intermarry other faiths? Because we have the truth, and we were designated to be the light unto the nations, the chosen people, to adhere to God's laws and follow his prescribed way of life. And if we did what he said we should do, we would have a blessed life and we would be a light unto the nations. The heirloom is the Torah and the way of life. To be a Jew who doesn't follow Torah and intermarries and follows another way of life turns a light off in this world. So it's not just for the Jewish people not to intermarry and protect the Jewish people from going extinct. It's not about that at all. It's about being God's chosen people, following his prescribed way of life, so that there's light in this dark world that has succumbed to evil. We need to be the light unto the nations and lead everybody, non-Jews and Jews, to world redemption and peace on earth in our time. That's our birthright. We're here to lead, to be the light to all the nations and show them what God desires from us. I only dated non-Jews until I found my Jewish husband. And my Jewish husband had the same kind of upbringing that I had. And when I found out what was in that Torah and this blessed way of life that we were chosen to follow, I wound up getting divorced. Why? He didn't understand. People don't understand. And Rabbi Ken, you don't understand what a magical life and prescription you have to lead a blessed life and your responsibility to the Goyim. We are responsible for the Goyim to help them, to show them the way to world peace in our time. This is the understanding that I can help you with. Is this a chink in your armor? It's a chink in the world right now. We need light. We need Jewish people to learn Torah and go online and purchase the Torah Part 2. My best friends have all been Goyim. I'm here as Moshiach, not just for Jewish people, for non-Jewish people, for all people. We're here to help lead the world to redemption and world peace in our time. That's the heirloom we're needing now to pass on. God bless you, Rabbi Ken. You're wonderful. You need to understand what you're teaching. It's a blessing from Hashem to pass on to every person in the world. Peace on earth in our time.